communal experience that so many people join together on that's just not possible in any other way. Having the audience control the game by sending the game many commands over the course of a tiny span and having it figure out exactly what it's trying to do creates really interesting video and creates an experience that many people share together and therefore brings them together. I actually love Twitch Plays Pokemon, and I'm excited that this is an official thing now. Number 9, we found out that the PlayStation VR tracks people in a 3D space and uses the PlayStation camera to create what's called a room scale experience. That means it could, in theory, ask you to run around in the room or jump around or do something that is a little bit more than just look around. And that's kind of a limitation that PlayStation VR was thought to have and that Oculus Rift does have. So the Vive by Valve and HTC is now kind of not really the front runner in that sort of technology, and VR experiences could potentially be a lot less gimmicky, given that there's now a lot more room to work with. Number 8, a firm called Artomatix has created an artificial intelligence that can be used to create hundreds of unique art assets. 10 years ago, Eric Reiser set out to create a solution that would solve the problem of the growing size of open worlds and expectations that have been soaring for detail as hardware has gotten better. He puts it like this: imagine making 100 unique zombies. It's fun for the first 3 or 4, but it gets a bit boring by the time you create your 100th. So essentially it frees up the artists from the mundane tasks and allows them to focus on the more creative tasks. In theory, allowing worlds to be a lot more artistic and have a lot more unique assets, instead allowing artists to be artists and create. Number 7, Epic Games just released an Unreal virtual reality editor, meaning you can actually create the game within the game world, which is frankly awesome. This is kind of something that a lot of people have dreamed of for a very long time, to be able to build the game within the game. On top of that, OSVR, the open source virtual reality, now has native support in Unreal. But yeah, let's be honest, the coolest part of the Unreal announcement is that now that you can develop in virtual reality. Tim Sweeney actually said it's like having superpowers and that he feels disappointed when he wakes up in the morning and has to grab things normally like a human, which is probably both marketing speak and what God would feel like if he had to wake up as a human, assuming you believe in God, of course. Number 6, you're probably going to be sick of virtual reality by the end of this year, and I say that because Unity is now including virtual reality as well. In fact, this isn't that different from the announcement that Unreal made, in that now that you can make games, at least on some level, inside virtual reality using Unity. Other important Unity stuff though, Unity Multiplayer is now out of beta. The service actually hosts developers live in multiplayer games and gives you Unity Analytics, which, if you're familiar with analytics, is statistics on who's using it. Unity's domination of the gaming world continues. Number 5, Google is now going to start embedding mobile game demos in search results. So GDC probably was not expecting this, but this is something very interesting, which will be a streamed version of a game that a player is searching for on Google Play. They also unveiled Indie Corner, which is an area of the Google Play Store specifically dedicated to smaller independent studios and their game, which is kind of cool on account, really that's kind of the types of games that typically move mobile gaming forward and become their killer apps. Number 4, the announcement of an alternative VR headset called the Salon Q came out. Now, what's different between this and the other VR systems that we've been looking at is that all of the hardware is inside the headset for this. It's basically a computer, but it also has spatial processing unit, which is a proprietary technology that they developed internally. Basically, it's cameras and some mechanical technology that essentially does the same thing as the room sensing stuff you see on the Vive and now the PlayStation VR. Cool thing about this is that you're not tethered by wires. Uncool thing about this, it's definitely going to be heavier than every other VR headset. Number 3, if you thought that was going to be the last time we talked about VR, you were very wrong, and this isn't either. Vortex is now adding wind and heat to virtual reality. The idea is that it makes you feel things like explosions or ice or things like that that are nearby and change what you're seeing and make you more immersed. Believe it or not, it can actually control the air temperature up to 99 degrees and can spew air forth at a velocity up to 100 cubic feet per minute. It apparently does a great job of bringing you into the game a little bit more without being uncomfortable, so we'll see if that catches on. Number 2, the PlayStation VR announcement happened at GDC, and it revealed all the stuff that we didn't know, like what we mentioned earlier, as well as a lot of other stuff like pricing, the date that it came out, which by the way in the United States is is $399 for the headset alone, comes out October, and all of the physical specifications. We actually did 10 things you need to know about PlayStation VR on our channel, so when you're done checking this video out and are interested in that, that's going to be a good thing to watch next. And number one, Microsoft is making a big play at the competitive gaming world by announcing their new Xbox Live Tournament platform, which is part of the Universal Windows Platform SDK. Now, what does that mean? When you develop a game using the Universal Windows Platform SDK, in theory, you're developing it for both Windows 10 and Xbox One. Now, yes, that does mean Microsoft is trying to unify Windows and the Xbox. They want one specific store for both platforms, and they want to make it so that games have complete cross-compatibility. And that's kind of also why Microsoft has made some changes as to what exclusives are, but that's not what we're getting into right now. We're more talking about the idea that Microsoft wants in on competitive gaming big time, and that includes both the Xbox One